In this video, we got another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. Basically, what this series is you guys will let me know 3 different players on Twitter at x7tanaka. I'll put out a tweet saying, give me 3 players for a Start Bench Cut vid, and then you guys will let me know in the replies below 3 different players, and I'll go through and tell you guys who I would start out of the 3, who I would bench, and then who I would cut. So if you guys also want to let me know 3 different players down below on the YouTube video, let me know 3 different players at a certain position, and I'll tell you guys which player I would cut, which player I would start, and then which player I'd start, which player I'd bench, and then which player I would cut. So let's just get right here into the video. Looking at the first one here from Yax, he says Peter Godmunson, I think I'd say his last name, Kareem or D-Rob, and I'm assuming he's asking at the center position because obviously Peter can't play power forward, and as crazy as this does sound, I think at center, Peter is slightly better than Kareem and D-Rob because of his size. I think him and Kareem are close at the center position. I think D-Rob and Kareem are probably maybe better cards than the Pink Diamond Peter, but I think at the center position, I would actually start Peter and then bench Kareem and then cut D-Rob at the center spot. I think just because you want that size, you want that defense and the wingspan, the player model, which I do feel like Peter and Kareem have over a card like D-Rob. And that's not saying D-Rob is a bad card. I think he's still such an elite power forward or center. I just think he's a lot better at that power forward spot than he is center. So for this one, the first one, I would start Peter, bench Kareem, and then cut D-Rob. Another one here from Yax, he's going to say Hero Kyle Kuzma, Andre Kirilenko, AK-47, and then Purvis Ellison. I think this one's fairly close between AK and Kuzma. I do think AK is the best small forward in the game, but I do think Kuzma, especially the hero version, really isn't that far behind. They have the exact same height, the exact same wingspan. Their player models are very similar in game. Stats wise, I mean, Kirilenko is going to be the much better defender when we're talking about stats. He's also got a little bit better like pass accuracy, ball handle. You know, Kuzma does have a little bit more in the finishing category, but really stats besides defense are very similar. Badge count wise, I mean, Kuzma's going to have 8 more Hall of Fame badges, but it doesn't really make too big of a difference. I mean, badges like Agent 3, you know, Claymore, Catch and Shoot, Blinders, you know, Deadeye, that does make a pretty big difference, I will say, for the shooting badges, but then AK's got a lot more Hoff defensive ones, you know, like Pogo Stick, Menace, Interceptor, Chase on Artist Challenger, you know, ankle braces. So badges I would say are similar, maybe a slight edge to Kuzma, but the biggest thing is when we go to the animation screen, I actually do like Kuzma's jump shot a tad bit more than AK's. I think they both have great jump shots in my team. I just think because of AK's defense, they have basically the exact same type of jump shot. I do like Kuzma's release a little bit more, and then I will say I do like the Trey escape, or sorry, I like the Trey Young size up a little bit more than the Kyle Lowry size up, but once again, not a huge difference there. And then AK does have the Trey Young leaner, which can make a pretty big difference if you do know how to use it, but very similar cards. I mean, I really don't think there's a huge difference between AK and Kuzma. I think because of the defense, you know, he's also got tad bit better, Kuzma's got way better tendencies on this card. I think the other Kuzma doesn't have the greatest tendencies, right? I think this one, he has worse, no, wow, he has good tendencies as well. I did not even know that about Kyle Kuzma. So I'm still going to stick with AK starting, Kuzma coming off the bench. Actually, Kuzma and Purvis is close as well. I really don't know. I mean, I think AK definitely starts because of his defense. He's still one of the best defenders in the game, and he's just as good as Kuzma or Purvis on the offensive end. But between Purvis and Kuzma, I really don't know because Purvis is another really good small forward. I'm gonna say bench Kuzma and then cut Purvis, but I think Kuzma and Purvis are super close. I'm gonna say start AK, bench Kuzma, and then cut Purvis. Next one is gonna be Kuzma, Purvis, and Bender. So very similar once again. I would probably start Kuzma, bench Purvis, and then cut Bender. I think Bender's really, actually wait, Bender's got 42 Hoffs. I think you got to start him then, right? I think Bender with Hall of Fame badges is probably better than these two with Hoff. So I'm gonna say start Bender, bench Kuzma, and then cut Purvis. I think those Hall of Fame badges really make a difference on Bender. I mean, 42 Hoffs, like how much does he come with normally? 15 or 16, right? Maybe 17. Oh, he's only got 11. Oh yeah, I forgot he's a Pink Diamond. I thought he was a yeah. So he's got 36 extra Galaxy Opal or 36 extra Hall of Fame badges. Yeah, that's a massive difference. So I'd say start Jonathan Bender, bench Kyle Kuzma, and then cut Purvis Ellison. Next one is going to be Mark Eden, Peter, and Opal Shaq. A very interesting one. I mean, Peter's definitely going to be starting. Is easily the best center out of the 3. And then I would say you want to bench Eden and cut Shaq. I mean, that Opal Shaq, I don't know if you meant the dark matter, you just said Opal by accident, but this Opal Shaq is just not very good. I mean, he's still okay if you want to run it inside big, but just run Mark Eden if you really want that inside big. So yeah, I would say easily start Peter, bench Mark Eden, and then cut that Opal Shaq. I mean, maybe the Dark Matter Shaq makes a little bit of a difference. He might be better than Eden at the 5. Next one is going to be Opal MPJ, Opal Paulo Banchero, and Opal AK-47. So AK is definitely starting once again. I do think AK is the best small forward in the game. For the backup for like the bench, I would say probably MPJ and then cut Paulo. I think that's kind of close. I mean, I don't think they're really the greatest of small forwards in the game. Like they're both just kind of meh, at least in my eyes. Like they're definitely good on the offensive end. I just think they both lack on defense. I mean, MPJ's defense is super underwhelming. Like he's just a terrible defender, at least in game. I mean, he actually doesn't have any Hall of Fame defensive badges, and these stats really aren't the best on the defensive end. So for this one, I would probably start AK, bench MPJ, and then cut Banchero. Next one is going to be Danny Ferry, AK, or Jonathan Isaac. And then he said Rudy Gay, 2 are my small forward, and one will be my backup power forward. So 2 are going to play your small forward, and 1 will play your backup power forward. So for your 2 small forwards, these 4 cards. Okay, so 2 are small forwards. Okay, so I would go AK and Danny Ferry as your 2 small forwards. AK starting, Danny Ferry off the bench. And then for your backup 4, I would go Jonathan Isaac. That's just me ranking these cards in order as well. So I'd go AK, starting, Danny Ferry benched, and then cut Jonathan Isaac, cut Rudy Gay, if we're going off that. But you wanted to know, 2 small forwards and a backup power forward. So I'd go AK, Danny Ferry as your 2 small forwards, and then have Jonathan Isaac as your backup power forward. Next one is going to be Peter, Porzingis, and Mutombo. Now, this is where I do think Peter's a little bit outclassed. I think Porzingis and Mutombo are the 2nd and 3rd best centers in the game, right behind the Galusobo Yao. So I'd say Yao's number 1. Then, so I'd probably say start Dikembe at the 5. I think he's slightly better. I'm going to go start Porzingis, bench Mutombo, and then cut Peter. I think these are the 2, 3, 4 best centers in the game, right behind Yao Ming, and they're all super elites. I just think Porzingis is a tad bit better than Mutombo. That one's really back and forth for me. Like sometimes I think Mutombo, sometimes I do think Porzingis, but I'm going to say start KP, bench Mutombo, and then cut Peter. Next one is going to be Jimmy Butler, Sean Livingston, and Cade. I would say these are probably the top 3 point guards in the game behind that hero MJ. For me, I would probably start Livingston, bench Jimmy Butler, and then cut Cade. I think Jimmy is a little bit better than Cade just because of his defensive presence. Like, I was really not impressed with Cade's defense. I thought he was going to be a much better defender, and Jimmy, we know, is going to be at a complete lockdown at the point guard position. And the reason why I like Sean a little bit more than Jimmy, because you definitely can start Jimmy Butler if you wanted to. If you're looking for more defense at your point guard position, Jimmy Butler is obviously going to be the better defender, but Sean Livingston on the offensive end is 6'7" with a 6'11" wingspan, really good at going to the rim. I mean, his stats are pretty much perfect, really no flaws there, and he's got an amazing jump shot with the JT Thor base. It's one of the best bases in the game, very similar to the LaMelo Ball base. And then he's also got great dribble sigs with the Kyle Lowry size up and the Trae Young escape. So for me, I think Sean Livingston is slightly better than Jimmy. If you wanted to start Jimmy, I think that is a very close comparison. I would say start Livingston, bench Jimmy Butler, and then cut Cade. I'm just going to kind of fly through these next couple ones, not really give too much opinion, but just going to be going through and telling you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. So this one's going to be Hakeem, Jokic, and D-Rob at power forward. I would personally start Hakeem, bench D-Rob, and then cut Jokic. Next one is going to be Kuzma, AK, and Isaac. I would start AK, bench Kuzma, and then cut Jonathan Isaac. Next one is going to be Hero, MJ, T-Mac, and Yao. I would probably start Yao, bench T-Mac, and cut MJ. I mean, I think T-Mac and Yao are just the 2 best cards in the game alongside Terry Dischinger. Here, MJ is probably that number 4 spot, after those 3 guys, or maybe number 5, depending if you like Taco. But for this one, it's really between T-Mac and Yao for starting. That one's really 1A, 1B type of situation. I would just start Yao Ming, bench T-Mac, and then cut MJ. Next one is going to be playoffs James Harden, playoffs Embiid, and dark matter Hakeem. So Hakeem is definitely starting. I would say probably Harden bench and then cut Embiid. I just don't think that Embiid card right now is really that great. Like, I would take Galuxable Harden over Galuxable Embiid any day of the week. So for me, I'm going to say start Hakeem, bench Harden, and then cut Embiid. Next one is going to be Peter, Yao, and Mutombo. Once again, I think Peter is just not as great as Mutombo or Yao, even though he's an amazing center, especially for his price. Like, he's way better value than a card like a Yao Ming or Kristaps or Dikembe, but I do think Yao and Mutombo could possibly be the 2 best centers in the game. So I'd say start Yao Ming, bench Mutombo, and then cut Peter. MJ, Livingston, and Butler. Now, I think these are the 3 best point guards in the game. I would start MJ, bench Livingston, and cut Jimmy Butler. I think MJ is easily the best point guard in the game. I think he's just that step above a Jimmy Butler or a Sean Livingston. But then after that, for who's going to bench and who's going to get cut, it really depends what you need out of your point guard position, and that one really comes down to preference at the end of the day. Dirk, Hakeem, and Peter at center. Peter definitely starting. I think he's better at center than Hakeem, and then I would have Hakeem coming off the bench and then cut Dirk. He's just really not that great of a card, and he just really isn't that great at the center spot. Just want to find maybe a couple good ones here. We got Austin Reeves, Rui, and D'Lo. Not sure how to rank that one because we don't know their evos yet. AK, Bill Russell, Bender. I would start AK, bench Bill Russell, and cut Jonathan Bender. I think AK and Bill are the two best small forwards in the game if we're not counting Dave Cowens. So for that one, I would start AK, bench Bill Russell, and then cut Jonathan Bender. And then last one of the video, we'll go for Glenn Rice, Ricky Davis, and Malik Sealy. I've heard really negative things about Malik. I haven't exactly used him yet because I wasn't able to get him on my account. But for this one, I would start Ricky Davis, bench Glenn Rice, and cut Malik Sealy at the shooting guard position. I've just heard terrible things about that card's jump shot. I think he's a very good defender, but I think at shooting guard, I would take Ricky Davis starting and then bench Glenn Rice and cut Malik Sealy. But yeah, guys, that's going to do it for another episode of this series where I do the start, bench, cut. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. And like I said, let me know in the comment section down below 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I'd start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. But I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.